Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Q&A session with John Worthington. John, how are you doing this fine day?
I'm just wonderful.
Me too.
Yeah, wow, check that out.
We must be rubbing off on each other a little bit.
Well, I have a nice view. I don't know about you.
Not as nice as yours, but it's still
Okay.
pretty nice.
It'll work. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Cool.
anyway, thank you for taking some time to chat with me today.
You're
I've
welcome.
had a couple things on my mind, and it actually started with a birthday party over the weekend for my son Derek. We had my mom and my in-laws over, and we ended up talking about, I don't know if it was a traumatic memory or just a memory in general that somebody was having some issues with, and it's so relevant to what we talk about here. So I wanted to bring it up and chat about it with you.
Okay.
Excellent.
I'm good with that.
All right. Well, it kind of crossed into that area where we've talked about a memory hacker video with a spider and a chemical that was used to block some sort of
I can't hear you,
protein.
Paul.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Time out.
No, it's all right. Yeah, the hacker.
Hold on.
Okay.
Switch.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
All right. Apparently, we're back on different Wi-Fi.
Okay. You sound pretty good to me.
Okay.
That's better.
All right, there. You're much quicker. You're much. I'm listening to you. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, starting
All
with
right,
that hacker video.
Yeah. So starting with the memory hacker video, where they used a chemical to block a protein, I believe is technically what was happening, but really it was an emotional charge.
Yeah, I don't know that. I think that what it was a chemical that blocked the passage of the fear program between synapses.
Okay.
The fear program, like the fight program and the freeze program, are hardwired into us. You know,
Right.
we're aminals, and so we do that kind of thing. So that's what happens to us, I think.
Yeah. So in that video, right, the person that was had arachnophobia and was terrified was given this chemical, and he went in to see the spider, totally terrified, couldn't go near it, and he left. However, he comes back a week later.
It's the next day, actually.
Oh, was it the next day? I thought it was a week, but okay. So
No,
it was the next day. And this is after applying that chemical blocker, so that the
what it is a blood pressure medicine, I think.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
off
I think
label.
That's what the lady says the name of it. Jenny always remembers it. I never remember it.
So. No, me neither.
Okay.
All right. So then this person goes back the next day, walks into the room,
right,
and is stunned at his own ability to recognize that he's no longer terrified, and literally remembers being terrified, but is no longer terrified.
But not terrified anymore. Yeah.
To the point that he could put his hand in the cage.
Well, he actually petted the tarantula.
Which
called it his new best friend.
Right, which is a mind-blowing experience for someone that was crippled by fear 24 hours later.
Right.
Earlier.
Yeah. There's no doubt about that one.
Right. So we were chatting about this, and it led to a conversation about that was actually my original rewrite, which I'm going to bring up one of the things the memories that you and I identified as something worthwhile.
Okay.
And remember, I was speaking with my mom, so this was a very relevant conversation to bring up because she was the one involved in the memory.
That's true, if I recall.
So here we go. In a nutshell, I was about 3.5, and I was trying to build this little mouse trap game, and it required a fair amount of dexterity to do it. Well, I didn't have the dexterity required to be doing that, okay? But I was not going to stop. So after about an hour, hour of me trying to get this thing to work, and I can't get it to work, my mom is watching me from outside the room and giggles one time when the thing falls down. Now, I just exploded, ran after her, grabbed her, and bit her on the arm. And I remembered that, obviously this was a significant event in my in my definition of reality and the beliefs I was using, right?
Right.
And what was I, 38 when we met? You know what I mean? 39. Like and up until that point in my life, I'd been using this program that basically said, the world needs to act the way I think it needs to act. And anyone that laughs at me in the process is going to get hurt.
Yeah, watch out.
Oh,
boom. Yeah, that's it.
So I was talking about this, and this was the example of my rewrite. So, you and I had to pull that apart a little bit, didn't we?
Yeah, just a little. Yeah, your memory of it didn't make sense in an adult world. It makes sense in the child world, but it didn't make sense in an adult world, I don't think.
That's right. Now, the reason I ended up going into this when I was talking to my mom is we were talking about this memory hacker video, and her and my mother-in-law were like, well, I don't think it sounds like a good idea to use a chemical to change your memory. And I said, oh, well, that's okay, because you actually don't need a chemical to change the memory. You just need to access the memory, right, with an adult perspective. And they were like, you can't do that. So I trotted out this little example, again, which my mother was part of. And you could see the recognition. She was like, holy crap. Like, I know what you're talking about. I know the issues you were dealing with. I mean, she even admitted, John, that her memory of that event had changed over the years, because not for nothing, but she cocked back and said, oh, wham.
She explained that was socially unacceptable. I take it. Yeah.
Oh, she did. And it didn't take a word.
Yeah. It was a graphic illustration, I assume. Yeah.
I got that lesson. I got that one like that.
Yeah.
So this was just a really fun conversation to have with a bunch of folks that didn't even recognize that some of the things that you and I talking about here are even possible.
Or even real. Yeah.
Are even real.
Much less real. Possible, not even if it were real, it's not possible as the general attitude, right? And it's always surprising to people when they find out that not only is it real, they just did it.
Exactly.
And they didn't know.
And they didn't know. It was such a fun conversation. And so, there's a couple things going on here for my mother that I thought was worthwhile for us to talk about.
Okay.
One of those is her assemblage point. What is an assemblage point? I'm going to let you tackle that one, because you've been explaining this one for a while.
Okay. Well, to begin with, it's probably not named properly. Okay.
Right.
All right. Okay. It's a phrase that we've roughly borrowed, or I roughly borrowed, I guess, from Carlos Castaneda, because he talked about Don Juan whacking him on the back and changing his assemblage point. And it's like, okay, well, that's the story, and that's probably how Carlos experienced it, but that's not what happened. Okay. Okay, because the idea here is, as he describes it over and over and over in his writings, that this moving the assemblage point has to do with seeing a different world view. Okay, because that's really a difficult thing to grasp sometimes.
Well, most people are going to say you're talking about a point of view, aren't you, John?
No, I'm not. A point of view is an isolated little idea, and moving the assemblage point would include seeing things from somebody else's eyes and seeing it from their belief structure, or seeing it from their way of looking at the world completely, not from yours at all.
So you're literally borrowing somebody else's set, so to speak.
Or you're constructing a different one. Okay. For instance, before you started Red Key Solutions, you had this place where you were kind of working for other people, right?
Yeah.
And you came in and you punched in and whatever that meant, and you did your 8 hours or your 10 hours or whatever you did, and you punched out and you went home. And then you opened Red Key, and all of a sudden, those hours that you were keeping just disappeared.
It wasn't somebody else's timetable anymore.
So you moved your view of the entire world.
I did. I had to. Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of a definition of moving the assemblage point. Okay. Because the moment that you have that business, you can't think about it like that anymore. You can't think about it from you being a kid anymore. You got to think about it in terms of what it is that you actually do. And that's really, really different. Okay. I mean, really different. And so the consequence, or the thing that I want you to consider here is this, is that anytime that you get a new worldview, and that's something that maybe can't be assimilated in 2 minutes or less. It may take you days to assimilate some of these ideas, because they're extensive, right? I mean, they really are extensive. I've seen guys who deal with stuff, or people, I should say, deal with stuff that when they rewrite some of these things, it takes them a month for them to be able to apply it in all the places that they think they need to apply it. And it's like, there's no hurrying that. That change is taking place as fast as it can take place. It just can't take, they've come to a place where they say, okay, I realize that this is a real thing in my memory, and what I've been dealing with is a fantasy part of what I thought that was at that time. And so when they realize that the entire memory itself changes, and the results of the memory change. I mean, it's like, the brain's wonderful. It does all those things automatically.
Well, I was just going to say that it comes with like the full set of experiences and emotions and everything you need to navigate that new space. It's just you just inherently understand what they are.
Well, because you're not navigating a new space, you're re-navigating an old space.
Same space. Mm.
Okay, it's like getting a new route to a destination.
A restaurant you've always gone to.
Yes. Okay. I give you an example of this. Once upon a time, to go from Guadalajara to, let's say, from the east side of Guadalajara to the west side of Guadalajara, you got caught in traffic in what is now called a part of Guadalajara called Zapopan, and they built this beautiful bridge over the worst part of that. And it's beautiful. It's like a sail. It's got the supports in the center, and it lights up at night. It's just an astoundingly beautiful bridge, especially when you cross it at night. But it knocks off like 20 minutes. It's like thank you, God. It's like, nice job up there. I don't know what you did, but do it. Keep doing it. Yeah, you're wonderful. Because that's 20 minutes for like 6 million people, right? So that's a lot of minutes. A lot of man hours involved in that in a week, right? And a lot less gas being used and so forth, right?
Pollution, all of that, yeah.
Oh, great! It was a wonderful solution to a lot of things. And Guadalajara has really been paying attention to that, just for the record, because they've really tried to take out the places where people stop and just sit there and go, bum, 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 burning fuel and polluting the air. So, but anyway, my point is this: is that new destination, people, you didn't have to convince people to use it.
Right.
It was, well, yeah, I just turn over here now, and I just go straight over this, and now I don't have to go through all that other stuff that didn't have to do any of that. It was easier. So you didn't have to convince people of that. They opened the bridge and it was full.
Right.
Okay, I'm cutting the ribbon. Oh, look, it's full.
People want to use it.
Yeah, just right.
You didn't even tell them. Did we advertise?
No, but what the hell are you people doing over there? Building a bridge. Oh, good idea. I hope that works. I hope it stands up. Anyway, it does, and it's beautiful. So anyway, the same thing happens when we remember something in the childhood. Mm-hmm. It's like we have the same destination, but we now have a bridge over a lot of stops and starts and turns and green lights and red lights and yellow lights and traffic cops and cars going the other way and all kinds of stuff. All that's just been eliminated, and right. It's quicker now. Okay. And we don't give up on the way. We just say, well, yeah, that would take me 20 minutes. That's a long time to go. I don't want to go. And now it takes 2 minutes. You're like, wow, mm-hmm. Look at that. That's way easier. I'll go now. Okay, I won't waste the time and get frustrated on my way. Your brain does the same thing. Neurons and electrons flowing through your brain takes the easiest route. Energy right. always does that.
Right.
So those routes already exist. Now, we've already described all those things in our life, right? In other words, you had a whole set of descriptions in your life before you rewrote that particular event.
Yes.
Okay, and so you changed how you wanted that event to come out. Okay, when you were a kid, it looked like a perfect thing. When you're 39, it wasn't working as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. I remember all of that explains precisely what I went through when we pulled that apart. And I realized that, a 3-year-old shouldn't be expecting to be able to handle the thing that I was trying to do. But I didn't have, obviously at 3, the bandwidth to appreciate that. But adult Paul did. And adult Paul was able to say, well, I don't think I need to be thinking about it quite that way anymore.
Well, yeah, it makes sense, kind of. I had more manual dexterity than I did at 3. Check that out.
And I'm not even a bad person for it.
Wow. Even though your mom slapped the shit out of you for biting her, she was right.
Well, I deserve that.
Yeah.
I hit her hard.
You don't bite mommies. That's just how it is. Okay, I'll
picked that one up.
You don't bite a mommy. That's a mistake. Moms are like that. Yeah, they are.
No. But so the good news of all of this was, right? So I'm speaking with my mom, and I've got my in-laws there, and everyone's kind of like, holy crap. Like, I can see the path of what you're talking about. Like, even though it wasn't their memory, they could understand that, I misunderstood what happened as a kid. I wasn't dexterous enough. And now that I can see that, it changed a lot about how I saw the world.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that that's true. It has to be true.
None. No doubt.
Yeah. Because it's an event that happened way early in life, right? And so, right. I mean, mom popped you in the head. So what did I do wrong?
Oh, it really solidified the memory. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Well, you had this huge frustration for trying to solve something. You were doing your best to do it, and she's laughing at you, and that was insulting. Right. Even at 3 years old, that insulted you, right?
Of course.
And so you felt bad about that, and it's like that's okay. Of course, you're going to feel bad about that at that age. Even at 4 or 5 years old, you're going to feel bad about that. You might not.
I know plenty of adults that would feel bad about that.
Oh, absolutely. I know. Hell, half the people I know are like that. So. And the other half that I know have already been there. So they're mad at me. They're kind of over being mad at me for that now.
So there's also a couple things going on for these folks, aside from assemblage point movements, which we were just kind of talking about.
Yeah.
There's another phrase that, again, I don't know if it's really the best way to say it, but it's been said, right? Stopping someone's world. Okay. What does that really mean? How can you explain that with more words?
Well, let's say that you're faced with an ugly truth.
Okay. That's a good place to start for this.
That ugly truth is just going to say, "Oh shit!" There you are, and it just.
No, wait. I can look around it.
But it keeps moving with you, and so you end up looking through it no matter what. So when that happens, you really have to stop sometimes and say, "Wait a second. Whatever world I'm living in, I have to address this ugly truth as well." Yeah, I can give you 100 examples, I'm sure, and all of them are telling tales on somebody that did something goofy. Okay.
Use some about me if you can.
Well, you're harder to do because you do that for yourself mostly.
Right, it's true.
You're pretty disciplined about saying, okay, look, if I'm going to improve somewhere, I can improve it better than you can. Where you can sit the fuck down and watch.
Right.
And
Let me go do that.
Really happy. Yeah, I'm really happy to accommodate you on that one. Trust me. Right. I have reason and motivation and so forth to say, oh, good. Most of the time, when you stop somebody's world, there's so much garbage that they have on the shelves, and it all falls out on the street, and it just
spills out.
It spills out all over. And so they feel bad about having all that stuff that's on the street, right? And so they're guilty, and they're embarrassed and all that kind of stuff. And besides, well, they caught you, kind of like your mom did.
Yeah.
She said, "Oh, ho, ho, are you that? did you whack the thing? Did that solve the problem, there, little boy?"
Oh boy.
It's the same thing, right?
Okay.
And it tends to elicit those kinds of feelings because it's an unexpected thing. I've told the story before, but when my grandfathers both died when I was about in the 5th grade, and I struggled with that for a period of time until my 5th grade teachers asked me how many grandfathers I had, and then I said, "Well, I have 2," and she said, "No, John, you don't. They both died.
Right.
They're gone. You don't have any now." And so that really stopped my world. It's
a good example. And you were not happy about that world being stopped.
Oh no, I hate that bitch for. She's my only friend at that time, but boy, was I mad at her. Yeah, I think I was 20 before I said, she really cared.
Wow, that was right.
Yeah,
she was trying to help me.
Yeah, who knew?
Who knew? Kind of thing. All right, no, that's a pretty good example right there, I think. And one component to stopping somebody's world, to use the term, is communication, which we've talked about.
Okay, it's the only thing that can happen.
Right.
There isn't anything else. Okay, and I don't mean talk here. I mean communication.
Right.
Okay, and I mean defining communication as an exchange of information between 2 metaprogramming entities. Not to some reasonable just based entity, but between 2 entities that have the ability to realize that they are body, soul, and spirit, or body, mind, and spirit. Okay, if they can recognize that, then you can actually exchange information. Yep. Because it doesn't make any difference what their view of that is. That doesn't make any difference at all. It won't change anything. It's that they've thought about it from there. It's kind of okay. This is a common thing that we have in our society. Even when you listen to somebody and you say, okay, well, is that person doing what he believes he's doing? In other words, we pay very careful attention between what somebody says and what they do.
Right.
Okay. Right. We all do that. If it's a kid, if it's an adult, no matter who it is, we always stop and we say, okay, we got to pay attention to what this person's saying as opposed to what they're doing. Because a lot of times what happens with people is that they say things, but what they do doesn't align. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it's like the reason why it doesn't align is that they're not really as experienced, or they haven't really considered the idea as thoroughly as perhaps they would have liked to if they had thought about all the parts first. Mm-hmm. But because of the lack of experience, they can't think about all the parts because they don't know what all the parts are. They haven't had that experiences yet. It's the same kind of thing like with what you were saying with your memory, right? At 3.5, you couldn't have thought of all the parts. Right. Okay. And so when you found, so when you found a part that was that people are seeing differently than you were seeing it, it stopped your world, number one, and then you tried to prove to everybody that wasn't fair. Well, no, that's what, and don't misunderstand. I'm not saying that's a wrong thing. I think that people do that all the time.
That's how we get through it.
Yeah, that is how we get through it, because we have to stop. Our world has to stop. And we say, hey, how come my world stopped? I mean, why did you do that to me? How dare you do that to me? I do that. And, you do that. Everybody, I mean, all God's children, they get pissed off, and when they will be stopped, they all be pissed off. So we're kids. That's what we do. Yeah. Yep. But the solution to it really is to say, okay, why? What was so threatening to me that I'm now angry? Not that I was angry, but what was threatening that triggered the anger? Because the anger doesn't exist in a vacuum. The fear doesn't exist in a vacuum. Mm-hmm. There's a threat. Without a threat, there's no fear. Without a threat, there's no anger. Without a threat, there's no freezing.
Which are the three programmed responses, right? That we're all gonna choose.
They're hardwired in there. It's like when you buy a human computer,
That's what you're getting.
That comes with it. It's no cost addition.
Yeah.
Survive for more than 20 minutes. You know, if that weren't in place, I couldn't walk through Guadalajara.
Right. Or you could, but you might not make it out.
I couldn't do it because there's a big monster things called buses, and they'll just run over your ass. You used to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Right.
Without that fear and anger and freezing thing, you know, I just go strolling out across the street, whether there's buses coming or not. And I'd be gone. So I kind of like having my fear and anger when I go to Guadalajara, actually, and freezing too. I like that because
it all serves a purpose, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm not going to go on any further.
Yeah.
Oh, now I can go on further. I'm not angry. I'm not afraid. I'm froze right here. So, yeah, that's something we have to think about with that. And so whenever somebody gets mad because somebody points out some ugly truth, what are you afraid of? That ugly truth is already there. It already exists.
Mm-hmm.
Don't talk to me about it. Then it doesn't exist. I stick my head down in the sand, and all you see is my ostrich butt sticking out up in the air. That's it. You're not gonna. I see no evil, hear no evil, nothing.
Well,
I don't see it.
A lot of people that would see this video would be like, well, I understand some of what these guys are saying, right? But I would not do that.
They wouldn't do what?
they wouldn't push back. They would accept the feedback, and they'd say, thank you, John. That was very nice of you to point that out.
No, they don't. Okay, here's what actually happens. Okay, see that thank you, John, is really we call that an evasion. Because what that is that saying, I heard you say things, and those were words, and those words had a meaning which I choose to ignore. So thank you very much.
That's actually what's going on, right?
Oh, you're such a fun person to be with, and so they keep on doing that same thing. It's like Ben sometimes doesn't put things away, like ever. If he gets a screwdriver out when he's done with it, he puts it down.
Because you're done,
not away,
right? You're done with it. Just put it right here.
It doesn't. Yeah. Well, it's out of the way now. If I need it, I know right where it is. Okay.
Or do you though?
Well, that's the thing. He doesn't ever get it put back where it needs to be, so he can find it the next time because he might forget where he put it down the last time. Okay.
You're reminding me of something. I took a year off from my corporate job in between starting a business and working for somebody else, and I was a plumber or plumber's assistant. Okay, and a lot of tools, a lot of organization, a lot of everything had its place, right? And I spent about 6 months organizing this guy's tools in his shed because it was one of the things he needed done. And believe me, did that change my assemblage point on a lot of things. 6 months is a long time. I touched hundreds of thousands of little tiny things and put them all in the right place.
And they're all back right where they were right now.
I guarantee you this guy didn't adjust his assemblage point, and he's still making a mess of everything.
That's right. Okay, but here's the thing. I see that Vincent is rewriting that program
as we speak.
But he's beginning to say, okay, wait, well, damn, I left that thing there, and he'll get it, and he'll take it and put it where it needs to go, right? But whenever he does it, it's always this. Oh shit! I thought there it is. Okay. God, what a dummy I am. It's like head smacks all the time, kind of thing. And it's not because he's being a bad kid. It's because it takes a long time for a lifetime of habits to be checked and reassigned their proper,
right.
Let's say, bridge crossing.
You kind of have to go through each one a little bit, right, to start to chip away at.
Because how about in this type of instance? Yeah, even there. But I just but you still have, it's not, is it where it needs to be? Well, then
Right.
you've got to put it where it needs to be. That's the secret here. Just, no, I'm not mad at you, but you won't spend all this time looking for it if it's where it's supposed to be. See, and if you go to the store, get enough to last for 2 or 3 months. Don't get enough for it to last this week, because if you get enough for it to last this week, you're going to go back next week to get some more, and the week after, and the week after, and the week after. Why not just get it all done one time? You're going to use it. Why not just get it all done? Why not, well, I can't afford it. Well, then how much can you afford? Because time is money. And so if you ask Costco.
This, I think, the first time a person goes through this process, it's a bit messy, right? And you might not go as far as
boy, I don't know if it is or not.
No?
No, I don't. Because
it can be clean and fast.
Well, it's clean and fast are not necessarily related. Okay, because messy is what's already there.
Yeah.
Okay, messy is all those streets with all those stoplights and all those cops and all that cross traffic, and that's messy. That bridge over all that crap, that's
Not
clean. That's clean. Okay, you don't want. I don't need to do the quarter mile in under 60 seconds or anything, or under 6 seconds or anything on that.
Right.
I got to get across it, right? That part's the clean part, right?
It wasn't fast to build that bridge either.
No, it wasn't either. And it got worse before it got better. There was more congestion. There was more congestion for a while there while they were building that until they got it up there.
Great analogy. That's so great, because it gets, sometimes things have to get a little messier before you can get through it.
Okay, that's my point about it. Is that it's not a matter that it's messy. It's a matter that the problem being solved. Okay, and so you've got to, if you're going to paint the walls in your house, that means you're going to take the pictures down, you're going to move the furniture out, you're going to put some tape down, you're going to put all the stuff, right? You're going to do all this stuff so you can paint the wall. Now, the actual painting of the wall doesn't take too long, and as soon as the smell gets out of the house, more or less, you can put the furniture back and hang the pictures back up on there on the wall and so forth. Now, it all looks pretty good. Okay, but while that improvement was in progress, well, things were disorganized for a while, because you had to get it disorganized in order to make it do what you wanted it to do in terms of color. I think it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's a process of construction, really, because you're reconstructing a well, let's call it a bridge in your life, right? Of how you get from this kind of feeling into this kind of reality that I'm in right now, talking to you, for instance. How do you get from that 3-year-old to being able to sit and say, well, that's not criticism. No, you're not laughing at me. I was being the fool, but you're not laughing at me. It's funny.
It was funny. Yeah, no, that is a solid analogy. I really can appreciate that, because it does sometimes have to be like that to get through it, and that's very okay.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I understand with certain people, okay, and this is an understandable thing. There's people who have lived their life, as it were, and it's like, they don't mind it being the color that it is, the walls. They don't really mind driving through that part downtown, even if it takes them longer.
They've got used to it, right?
Well, it's not only that's what life is for them.
Oh, okay.
Okay, in other words, there's an energy flow for them that works by driving that old route. I mean, there are people that do not use that bridge, I'm sure. Okay, okay, because they like the neighborhood, they like driving through. It's a sense of belonging. There's probably 1,000 different reasons why they don't use the bridge, or they use the bridge only if they're doing certain things and so forth. Right? Okay, so, but that's true for us in almost any endeavor, including rewriting something. If every now and then you run into somebody who's older that they can't really understand how to make that connection. And if you walk them through it and you say, okay, here's how to do it, they may not be able to follow the steps that you lay out for them, but they'll think about it. They'll think about, well, what are my impulses, or what do I have to simulate? What do I have to eliminate for here? What am I oriented toward? If you can get those concepts into their thinking, so that they can look at it. You're not going to change their lives, but if they can look at it, they maybe can make some adjustments that make life way easier for them,
Right.
and maybe for people around them even.
Mhm.
To me, that's the reason for doing these sessions that we're doing here, so that people get a chance to explore some of these ideas and say, well, yeah, I guess I could use that. What the hell? I mean,
Right. Now, I mean, I'm not expecting anything that you and I are saying here to, blow open anybody's, mind here,
no, that ain't. Trust me, that will not happen.
Exactly. But it might, engender some interest, right? And somebody wants to pursue a real class or a workshop.
Well, yeah, it might. Okay, and here's the thing: it really depends on if they've had enough or not.
Yes.
That's
No,
that's
you're
what
right.
it is. You get to a place where you banged you just whacked your old noggin against that wall enough times, and you say, you know what, enough. Where is the door? Somebody tell me where the damn door is. I've hit this wall over and over and over. Now there's got to be a door here. Now, how do you get from here to over there where you guys are?
A door that hasn't been opened.
Well, who put that door in there? How did you do that to me?
I didn't. It was already there.
It was there.
You needed a bridge from here to over there. That's it. That's not brainwashing. That's not programming. That's not telling you what you have to do. That's you figuring out how your brain works. It's like, I know that you didn't want to go. You've been through these Christmases where you didn't want to read the instructions on how to put that damn big ass dollhouse together.
Right.
Read them.
Read them.
You're going to save yourself about an hour and a half, 2 hours of putting that damn dollhouse together.
And you might not break it.
Yeah, maybe it could happen. You might say, "Oh, well, that's what that part is there." Who knew that's what that is? Really? It needs to go in there, huh? Well,
So that's all we're doing here, right? We're just trying to help people do those things.
That's it. Not anything. Well, I'm not interested in doing anything else for folks. I'm too damn hard-headed.
Well, plus, the old adage, right? You can't make a horse drink. You can just bring him to the water.
Well, it isn't even that. From my perspective, I'm observing a herd of wild horses out running around on the prairie, right? And so I'm pretty sure that if they know where the water is,
I'm sure they do.
They know where the food is.
Yep.
And so they're big horses, so they can probably go find it all by themselves. All I have to do is go put some out there where they can get to it. If they get to it, they'll eat it. If they're smart enough to get to it, well, they have a good old time. If they're not smart enough to get to it, they'd be hungry or they'll be eating something else. And right. You know what? It's fine with me either way. Yeah. It's not my business. Right. And not my horses. I just happen to like the horses.
Fair enough. I mean, that's pretty much all I had on our on the docket today, John. So unless there's some loose ends there,
no, there's not any loose ends.
I think we tied that one up.
There's one other thing. So how did all that resolve for you over the weekend?
Well, it was interesting, right? Because my mother specifically was like, well, you can't change an emotional charge on a memory. And I said, well, yeah, you can. And here's exactly what I did. So I explained, how the world was supposed to be doing what I wanted it to do. And she wasn't supposed to be making fun of all these other things that, and I wasn't dexterous enough to do it. Right. And I explained all these things that the modern, more mature Paul was able to alter on that memory. And you can see her sitting there and she's kind of like, oh my God. And then she was able to vocalize it herself. She changed her own opinion over time about that memory. So she knew I wasn't making it up because her memory changed from 20, 30, 40 years ago to now. So she understood that it was a real concept. And and meanwhile, we had Roger there, and Roger's participated in some of the classes.
And who's Roger?
Roger is my father-in-law.
Oh, okay.
And he was there, and he's taken a rewrite class before, so he understood fundamentally what I was saying ahead of time. So he was able to confirm with my mom that that's actually is actually a thing. So that helped her see it. And Madeline is Roger's wife, and she was there, and she was the one who originally said, "Well, I don't like the idea of using a chemical to alter that memory. And I was like, lead in. Like, we don't need the chemical to do that. I'm so glad you said that.
Right. Right.
So I think everybody was set on a little bit of a world stopping there, where they were kind of like,
Okay.
wait a minute.
Yeah. Well, in my experience, that's how you make points. Is that you lay a foundation and give people a chance to think about the foundation,
Right.
and say, well, okay, you know what, even though this is where the foundation walls are, can we extend it out a little bit over there? Because I'm kind of thinking about maybe a library and a veranda out over here. And
why, yes, we can.
What would that cost, you think? And is it still in a stage where we could add that to it, Mr. Architect, Mr. Engineer, Mr. Oh God, that hurt. Okay, well, yeah, okay, let's do it.
So that's what I think. I think everyone's got some things to think about in places that they hadn't before. So I was happy.
Yeah, I bet. So you got some points across about what you wanted to say without upsetting any apple carts or anything else. Just that
Exactly.
Look, this is possible.
That's exactly how it went.
Wow. And nobody lost any sleep or anything else. They just, well, maybe, but not because they were mad at you.
No, it was a rather smooth conversation.
Wow. That's amazing.
I thought so too.
Diplomacy and so forth, right? Well, maybe not so much diplomacy as it is the recognition of reality. Yeah,
and improvements in my own communication skills.
Yeah. Let me ask you one other thing here. How has that realization changed things for you? And what kind of aspects of life?
You mean the realization about the weekend or the original rewrite?
No, the rewrite thing. Yeah. What did that adjust for you?
Oh my God! I mean everything.
Well, I don't know what that means.
My standing view of my relationship with reality became something other than, why aren't you doing exactly what I want? My internal mind had an idea of what reality was. And whenever reality didn't match with that, I was bitchy.
Well, I guess. Okay.
Not a great place to be,
No, I wouldn't think so.
Pulling that out gave me a lot. I stopped wasting a lot of energy on demanding how things needed to be.
Okay. So one thing that you liked about that was that you needed to get a different take on what was important.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely, because I was prioritizing my own worldview up until that moment.
Okay, and so you still prioritize that, don't you?
Well, I mean, to some extent, I have to, right? Because it's what I'm experiencing. But I had a lot of room left over for other people's takes on what was going on, and for things that were happening outside of my own reality.
So it bought you some time to consider things.
Yeah, space, time. Yeah.
Okay, bought you some time and some space. So.
Yeah.
Okay, and so the bridge bought you some time to look at your traffic flow, perhaps.
Yeah,
it did. Where else can I put bridges? Maybe.
Exactly, and what the result of that was I was wasting less energy getting to that finish line, so to speak, on a given experience. I would get through the experience a lot smoother, and be in a better place when I got there.
Okay, well that makes a lot of sense to me, actually. That would take place because you have more circuitry, in a manner of speaking, to address issues, because you're not it's not tied up with the stop and go of the traffic pattern that you set up as a 3-year-old.
Right.
You could actually plan for it as a more expansive or more inclusive idea or concept. Yes. Interaction with the external reality, internal external reality. Okay.
Yep.
Wow, that's an interesting set of results from a relatively simple adjustment of memory.
Yes, I think that's what we're trying to uncover for folks here, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It'd be great if we could do that. Well, maybe tomorrow's another day. Let's give it another shot.
We'll try again tomorrow.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Well, okay, Paul. I'm sorry, but I had to get that straight for folks. I think how does this help you? And it's like apparently, has it helped you in your business itself?
I think it's fundamental to the success, to be honest, because
Really?
because before I had adjusted this belief, I was a bit of a pain in the butt to work with, and
can't imagine.
Yeah, you're too kind. I needed to go through this process to be a good business partner, and
okay.
and I know I'm a good business partner because the business is succeeding. And people are paying for our services, and people are working are the job roles that we have, and we're growing and improving. So I have validation.
See, that was something I was trying to talk. Terry had asked me about the other day too, and it's like this is my opinion on it, is that in today's economy, I think that whoever is running a business, whether it's a manager, a CEO, or the business owner, whomever that is, okay, I think that they it probably would really do them a lot of good to examine how they get along with other people and why.
Yeah.
Because that might actually define the difference between profit and loss.
Yeah. Yeah, it would.
Because quite frankly, people, I think this is the society at large. Okay, and this isn't about anecdotal events. This is about a general feeling I have about the whole general society, that it's suffering. That the societal mourning for the immense loss of life that we've experienced over the pandemic.
700,000+ people in the U.S. alone, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's a lot of loss.
Yeah.
And so people are saying, I'm going to I'm going to spend my life doing this for you. For what purpose?
It's a lot of reasons why people are quitting their jobs, right?
Yeah. You're going to treat me like crap instead of treating me like I'm a human being, or like that you and I have a relationship.
Yeah.
Then no, I don't want to work with you. I don't want to work for you either, and I particularly don't want to work for you. I wouldn't mind working with you if only that were possible. And that, I think, is going to be a big change in business in the new reality. Okay, the new normal, as they always talk about. I think that's something that people are going to demand, and I think that business people really, really, really want to pay attention to that if they only knew what to pay attention to. And there's not a lot of help for them on the horizon from that. On that, I'm afraid.
No, there isn't.
So I don't know. I spent a lifetime trying to say this to people, and so maybe that was the whole reason, was so that I could figure out how to say this when we got to this point. I don't know.
I think so.
I'm still saying it. So there, I don't care whether you hear it or not. This is how it is. God damn it.
No, you are absolutely correct. I mean, I know the places that I was not a functional partner, and I know the energy that wasted. And I mean, it's same goes for a marriage. I mean, let's be honest.
Yep.
A business partnership and a marriage are almost identical in the amount of effort you need to put in.
That's it. Relationships is relationships. That's a fact. It's the same. So speaking of that, we're going to do a Dyad class again on Thursday if we have internet.
Okay.
If we have internet, Mexico lost internet for like 3 or 4 days.
A couple of days, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, there's no news about it. It was a complete news blackout. Whatever happened, it was completely blacked out. I have not been able to see.
No one's talking about it.
No one said boo about it. Okay, wow. No one. But it was out for 3 or 4 days. Okay, and when it came back, it didn't come back a little bit. It just came back. Ping, it's back on. Like,
no kidding.
Oh, come on. Yeah. It turned off. It turned off like that, and it turned on like that. It went
That's
from
pretty good.
it went from the whole country being down to everything's good.
Hmm.
It-
Very interesting.
yeah, I have questions. You know.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
we'll save them. So it's next
Yeah.
Thursday, which is
Next
looks
Thursday,
like the
right?
21st.
And I think Vincent has a landing page coming up that's set up. Pretty much, I think he and Lisa are actually working through that. Maybe he can
Cool.
send you a copy of it so you can
Okay.
check it out. And I think that's being done so that people can go back and rewatch some of these things and so forth. It's more organized, as I understand it. I don't. It's beyond my pay grade. I don't need to understand those things. It's computer stuff.
Right.
Remember, I'm a dial phone kind of guy, you know.
My kids have no idea what that is outside of a museum.
Yeah, well, and even that, the hell, why would you want to use that?
Awesome. So then we'll get back together again on Thursday.
Yeah, and people can subscribe and so forth. They get some of these things, and every now and then we put out interesting content, and so people sometimes like to know that it's out. So if they subscribe and they like and so forth, it makes us know which things they're listening to and so forth, right?
Right. We'll give them more of what they like.
Yeah, there we go. Yes. We'll try to anyway.
We'll try to.
If we can decipher that. All right, Paul. Thanks a lot. We'll see you later.
Thank
How's
you.
that?
It's been a great time.
Yeah, behave yourself, and if you don't, we'll send pictures.
Of course.
Okay.
Thank you, John. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.
Bye.